you are going to be mortified, terrified to the core. I have to protect this thing. You'll be filled with love and fear and like, what am I thinking? You know, all that is going to just overwhelm you. I remember the first time I saw my son, it was just like overwhelming. Here's the hard part. That child does not love you that much. And they never will. Nor should they. It would be sick, right? For them to love you that much. And you don't love your parents like you're going to love your children. And that's something that's going to hit you like a ton of bricks when you look at your child. You're going to look at that child and you're going to be like, oh man, my parents love me this much? And it's going to be a little bit shocking, you know? And then you're going to think about all the things you did. Oh crap. Like such a jerk. You know? My parents love me, you know? But the reality is that relationship can never equal a marriage relationship, because a marriage relationship is reciprocal. Now there is more to marriage relationship than just I feel feelings for you. There's intimacy, there's decision making together, there's all kinds of things that you have with your spouse. You know, like we're deciding to buy a house together. You don't decide to buy a house with your child, right? You don't enter into contracts with your child. You don't enter into those types of commitments. You don't decide to have a child with your child, right? I mean, you can see that the level of reciprocation between a husband and wife is far beyond any other relationship that you have in life. And so that relationship becomes the superior relationship. Now, why is it important that this relationship is more important than my kids that I'm bringing into this marriage? Because they're going to make decisions on who they're going to marry watching you. And if they see that they're put before the husband or they're put before the wife, and that my kids come first and I'm out of here the second, you know, things are bad for them, they're going to make decisions based on marriage on that. And they're going to have a messed up idea of what marriage is supposed to be if they don't see a solid marriage. And so I tell these couples that are married, you have an opportunity to give your kids what they need, and that is a good example of what a marriage is supposed to be. If you choose to put your kids first, they're going to take advantage of it. And that's the problem with us as kids, right? We take advantage of what our parents offer us, and we play them against each other, and we try to get them to, you know, to take our side and to fight even, so that I can win. And that's damaging to a marriage, right? And so wise parents don't ever let their kids come between them. And so it's important that as a husband and wife, as he says here, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So, you guys ever heard the term? How many of you guys have heard leave and cleave? Never heard that? You? Leave and cleave? See, the idea is leave and cleave is, I'm going to leave my parent, my guardian, whoever it is the authority in my life as the parent, and I'm going to cleave to my spouse. 50 or 70%. 50%. It's 50%. 70%. Okay, that's another statistic. There's two statistics I like to tell. 50% of all divorces have in-law involvement. What does that mean? That means you get married.
Take over.
You get married, and you know, you marry a woman or you marry a guy, and let's say the woman's father says, well, honey, if he's ever mean to you or he ever treats you wrong, you can come home to us. You always have a place here. Or his mommy. She's just not a housekeeper. And I have to go over to their house and clean.
Wrong idea of hospitality.
I'm not kidding you. Parent, and my wife and I have experienced this. Parents overstepping their bounds with the grandkids. Coming in, you know, buying them gifts, giving them candy that you don't want them to have, doing things with them that you don't want them to do. In-law involvement, and it causes huge stress on a marriage. Or, let's say you fall in love with a guy, or it doesn't usually happen with the girls or with boys as much, but let's say you fall in love with a guy. You're really close to your mom.
You lost.
He treats you like crud. He says something to you that's really mean, or does something to you that's really mean, and you run home and tell your mom. Bad idea. Because, again, it's not fair. Your mom loves you more than you can even imagine, right? So how is she going to react to my baby just got hurt by that mean guy?
Why are you with him?
Exactly. And so it's not fair to her, because now she, all of a sudden, you know, the Bible says don't walk in the counsel of the ungodly, right? Oftentimes parents give very ungodly counsel to their children when it comes to their relationship. Why? Because they're emotionally involved. They can't be objective. Plus, let's say that you like this guy and he's a jerk to you today and you went and told mommy or daddy. That's even a worse idea maybe. And then after you went and told mommy and daddy, you decided, you know what, I really love him, I want to work it out. You work it out, now Christmas is ruined. Forever.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how long is it going to take for your dad and your mom to forgive this guy who hurt their daughter? See what I'm saying? And it can happen with a husband, or with a man going home and telling his parents too. You know.
She did make me a savage.
Yeah. Exactly, Clay.
Move
Exactly. So, important that you leave your father and mother. Now, it does not mean you're not supposed to have a relationship with your father and mother. It does not mean you're not supposed to honor your father and mother.
Someone put something in your coffee. Let's
Coffee.
stop drinking that.
It does not mean you're not supposed to have a relationship with your father and mother. It does not mean you're not supposed to honor your father and your mother. When your father and mother get old, it would be an honorable thing for you to take them in their convalescing years and take care of them, you know, let them, or whatever. You know, I mean, that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, do not let your parents influence your marriage relationship, other than for good. Okay, and I've seen parents out there. Their daughters get married, their sons get married, and they get very godly counsel. You know, maybe their daughter comes and complains to them, and I've heard parents actually say, "Don't come complain to me. You made that decision. You go back to your husband and you submit to him, or you do what, you know, whatever." And that's rare, but some parents, you know, understand what God's word says about it. It also means, as a newly married couple, you should not get married if you can't separate from your parents. And I've seen it too many times where people, they want to get married, they're so eager to get married, and they move in with mom and dad.
Yeah.
Or they move in with in-laws. Bad idea.
That works.
No.
Leave your father and mother. Cleave to your husband, your wife. Don't, you know, if you can't live on your own, if you can't move out and live on your own, you probably should wait to get married.
Let's go live in the garage.
Just saying. You know, I mean, living in your parents' apartment next door, that's okay. You know, I mean, if you're not dependent upon them. But you don't want your parents parenting you while you're married. If you're having marriage problems, don't go to your parents. Go to somebody you know will give you godly counsel. You know, you don't want to go to your friends either if they're like, "Girl, he deserves better than you," you know, or "You deserve better than whatever." That's probably what they should be saying. Whatever. Right. That's the truth, right?
Sucky friend. She deserves better. Wait a second.
Yeah. So you don't want to go to somebody who's going to give you ungodly advice. And that's what this is saying. When he's saying leave your mother and father, it's not just talking about mother and father too. I've seen this too. And this is the worst. Okay, if you guys, you know, let's say you know, in a year or even 6 months, you're like, "I want to get married," and your parents are like, "Whoa, what are you thinking?" You know, whatever, you know, because that's what parents always say when you're your age. And you want to get married. What are you thinking? Let's say you do. I give you good chances. Not that it's wise or that it's, but you know, getting married young, usually people do pretty well. Longevity marriage. But then you get couples that are older and they get married. "Oh, we've been there before, we've been married before," whatever. I give them 6 months. It's the older you are, the worse it is. And this is what happens. So like I see these people in their 40s or 50s getting married. And maybe they've been divorced, or maybe their husband or wife passed away, and their kids are grown and moved out, but then what? One of them is usually supporting one of their adult children. Like, $350 of my paycheck pays their car payment every month. And then they get married, and how well do you think that's going to go with their new spouse? It's horrible. And it's, again, leaving and cleaving. So not only do you have to leave and cleave with your parents, but you also have to leave and cleave when it comes to other family relationships to make sure that your marriage relationship has its sanctity. And so, making sure your marriage relationship is solid and on its own, and not tied down to other relationships financially or with other obligations. Sorry. So, then verse 25. They were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. And so, boy, this is the interesting part of the talk. No, of course he's talking about sex. They had that intimacy with each other, which is what's going to produce children in their marriage, but it's also going to produce intimacy. And so there's more to it than that, though. And I think that this is super important. So physical intimacy is important in marriage. And that is something that, if you're married to somebody, you want to make sure that's a good part. And there's great books, Intended for Pleasure. There's other books. That's probably the best one. That help you. I give that usually to couples that get married. After they're married, I don't want them reading it before they're married. But give that to them, and it basically just talks about that part of marriage. The other thing, though, is it's not just physical, it's mental. Can I communicate with my spouse? It's emotional. Do we have an emotional connection? And it's spiritual. Are we going down the road together in our pursuit of God? Because if you're not, how can two walk together if they aren't agreed, right? And so that is something super important when it comes to marriage, that you have that transparency and that openness to each other in all those areas. That you are emotionally attached to each other, that you're spiritually attached to each other, that you're mentally on board with each other, and of course physically. All those areas are important in marriage. And so one of the things when he says they were naked and not ashamed, I think part of that is they had nothing to hide from each other. They were able to share everything with each other in a sense, and that's a difficult thing. You don't want to always tell somebody your evilest thoughts, right? It's like, oh.
I'm gonna kill you someday.
And I don't think it's saying that so much you have to share every deep, dark thought or sick thing I think in my mind, to share that with my wife or something like that. But what it is saying is that I want to make sure I don't keep secrets from her. That she's not keeping secrets from me. And if there is something sick and deep inside my head, then I want to be taking that to the Lord and dealing with that in my life, And same with, her to me. That we have that openness and we can talk about anything. And when we do talk about something, struggles or things that we're going through, that we can talk about it without, condemning each other. That's important. My wife and I have been pretty good at that. We've been married 21 years. She's not 21 years old, but we've been married 21 years next month. So I think that's been going pretty good. All right. We've been happily married for, I would say, 17 years. Married for 21 years, happily married. First 3 years were a little rough. Okay. Anyway, that's how much we're going to cover today.
That leaves 1 year empty.
I know. It's
17,
19,
3. What's the 20?
3.5.
Okay.
So it was 17 and a half good years.
Yeah.
That's never
That 1 year is just a blur.
Well, yeah, Shannon, she's like, well, the first 5 years were pretty hard. But I think we really started to work on things probably 3 years into it, somewhere in there.
Of course, Jake was only about 5. He was like 3-ish.
3-ish.
I lost
For
count.
Yeah, so any questions? Answered all your marriage questions in that one session. Wow, I'm impressed.
Are you
For
coming
now.
back on?
For now, yeah.
Come back on Thursday. Yeah, I have a lot more to talk about. Lots more. We have to talk to. So that was the perfect marriage. Okay, last thing I wanted to say about this is that notice they had nothing to hide from each other. They were one flesh. But the one thing that you don't see here, and I mean you see it, but you don't, and that is it wasn't just a horizontal relationship that they had. It was God who brought them together. And that is the key to a successful marriage. It's not so much your relationship with each other. It's not so much I need to do all the things I need to do as a spouse to be good to my spouse or to be open and communicate and all those things, as much as it is I have to have a relationship with God. You know, and my relationship with God is going to determine how good my relationship with my wife is. You know, it's like it says in John chapter 1 verse, or 1 John 1:7. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, then we'll have fellowship with one another. And the blood of Jesus Christ covers all of our sins. If I'm walking in darkness, and my wife is walking in light, or we're both walking in darkness, then we're both in the, in the dark. And that's how marriage is. So in order to have a healthy marriage, it has to be a vertical marriage. And I have to take everything to God, and we'll talk more about that in detail next time. Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? All right, let's pray. We're supposed to do it at 12:30, right?
Yeah.
Next week, I think Shannon's coming with me. So I'll just be a guy telling you guys what women are supposed to be doing.
I like that.
Lord Jesus, thank you for this time, and thank you for this class, Lord. It's just good to be back here with them. And pray that you bless them, Lord, as they make decisions for life and college and someday a decision for a spouse. Sorry. Would you just bless them and keep them and just watch over them, Lord, as they navigate these waters, Lord. Help them to trust you and to follow your lead, Lord, that you would bring the right person into their lives, Lord, that you want for them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Someone's trying to kill you.
I have a corticosteroid that I take before I talk. This time of year, the pollen.
Everything starts to
Man,
blow.
even shakes.
Well, just even the stuff starting to bloom and then like the wind
Is
starts
that your
blowing.
wallet?
What? No, it's not my wallet. It's in the
Can I
air.
pencil that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No,
that's protection. These are
Come here, Riley.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You should do it.
Oh, thank you guys. Ow.
Bye, Riley.
Now, sit like that.
See, oh, that was one colder.
Crap.
I know.